Greetings and salutations, viewers. I'm StarPrincessHLC, and welcome back to Corpse Party Book of Shadows. When we last left off, Morishige met up with Nana's friends and saw that Taguchi had been knocked unconscious and such, and it's just kind of reaffirming his insanity as he keeps taking pictures of the dead and then getting all orgasmic about it in the process. So now we're back at this point. Last time I looked back and Sachiko tricked us by pretending to be a sexy Mitsuki, which was weird in of itself because she's like, what, 7, 8 years old technically? But yeah, that's what happened if I looked back. It gave us the wrong end. So what happens if I don't look back? Mitsuki shows up anyway. Oh, this is a different situation. Last time she was like, "Oh, Morishige, I'm so happy to see you." Now she's acting exactly how she did when Satoshi found her in the first game, where she was like, "No, everybody's evil. Stay away from me." He's dead, smashed by a hammer. No, I don't give two flying monkeys about Yoshikazu. Her friend got killed by a Yoshikazu with a giant hammer. And Emmy. Well, to be fair, he is kind of weird. I mean, later on in the game, you do see him, at least in the original. You know, he plays around in Mayu's corpse and retrieves the kid's tongue, so. I can agree with that. No. I don't think even slapping her in the face would help. I didn't lie to you. As far as I know, anyway. Really? I couldn't tell. Yes, I know. We just want it all to be quiet, and then I can take their pictures. Yeah, well, she was in a bit of a panic. I'm sure the adrenaline is really coursing through her veins right now. Go back where? Spoilers, you're not getting home. Also, Barbara Seville, interesting choice. Well, I guess Sweetie Todd would have been too obvious. And here I was again. I pressed the button on my phone to shut off the second alarm I'd set. If this time display were accurate, then there was no chance of making it home in time to record the show for Mayu. Yeah, I'm sure she'll feel very bad about that. Nah, she'll probably just want to go out for crepes or something. I slid my finger naturally, almost automatically, from shutting off the alarm to opening my folder of saved photos. There was no sound in the room other than the tone of my button presses. And virtually no light other than that which shone from the LCD screen, or so it seemed anyway. Yet, this was my rock. In this place I could truly relax. Here and here alone, I felt at peace. The air was filled with the overpowering aroma of blood and entrails. It'd be enough to make most people vomit, but for me, it was a smell to savor. Yeah, that's a great thing to say as you hear the violin music in the background. Oh, so beautiful. I'd even describe it as comforting. Perhaps it's because it reminded me that I was in her presence. She who decorated the wall like a flower in full bloom. When I sat across from her, I felt more at ease than I can possibly convey in words. It was as if she'd always be here for me, as if she were waiting for me. And sure enough, whenever I felt weary or needed respite, the door to this infirmary would always open for me, despite its tendency to the contrary. Each time it did too, I would always be drawn in as if the room were swallowing me up, and my eyes would always happen upon this offering first, as the doggies bark in the background. This girl upon the wall, slowly drying and slowly rotting, would always be there to greet me, and never once did I tire of the sight. Yeah, I would assume so. I'm sure if someone pulled out his phone, they'd be like, I'm fairly certain this is more than just a police investigation. Dude, why? I began talking to myself, or maybe I was talking to her. Within my phone's memory were stored some of man's most sensual, most voluptuous objects dart, and she was the tip of the brush, the grand prelude. I'd amassed a whole other building's worth of beautiful sculptures to admire now, too. I was thrilled to bursting. Let's just hope he's not talking about a certain type of bursting. Ugh, that face! I should have used that for the thumbnail. This was the sculpture known as Mitsuki Yamamoto. In life, but in death, she was my property. One of my many pieces of found art. Those spirited eyes now dulled and clammy. Those lips that spoke such harsh words now stained with blood. Her abdomen shredded. Her innards exposed. So alluring, so captivating was she now. Sometimes, destroying that which is beautiful only serves to make it more beautiful. And truly, theirs was the proof. Ugh. Yeah, it's a shame you can't admire it even further, 'cause you're gonna die. It was a shame that I could only gaze upon these gorgeous works of art within these school grounds. Ah, there's the rub of it. Before returning home with Mayu, I need to erase every one of these photographs from my phone. It seemed like such a waste. The world in which I once dwelled was far too narrow-minded to accept these masterpieces. It was often a hard place to call home. But as long as I had Mayu with me, I could endure. And to that end, this folder was an obstacle, a detriment, a hurdle to be overcome before I could rejoin the world of the living. I needed to delete it, to put it all behind me. Can we get a straitjacket here, please? Well, that was lovely, wasn't it? And that was the end of it, of Shangri-La. Well, at least the first time around. And we unlocked Chapter 6, Meyer. But we're not quite done with that chapter just yet. Because in order to get some extra scenes out of it, I have to go back to the full chapter and play through it all again. Just, I think, slight little variances. I won't torch you with that. I will catch up to you when we get to the extra parts of that chapter. So, stick around. Let's see how bad it gets when we play through it a second time. Okay, this is actually where I'm supposed to go in order to unlock the extra stuff after playing through it again. I have to look at him right on the other side. As I'm supposed to look at him on the other side, yeah. That's what I thought. Yep, he's unconscious. Wait for the earthquake. Yep, that's another earthquake. And then we go right into the next part. Yeah, 'cause that wasn't in the last one, was it? Him screaming his head off. Something hit me hard in the back of the head. I began descending face first toward the ground. It felt like I was falling in slow motion, though. The ground just kept coming. Yet for some reason, I couldn't even put my hands out to break the fall. It was like I was being slowly swept toward a wall by some giant wave. My glasses fell from my face, and I distinctly remember watching them roll around. I think I know where this is going. Mitsuki's panicked screams brought me back to reality. Suddenly, I remembered what was happening. She and I had pursued Emi Urabe from the pool back into the school building and found her quickly enough. Unfortunately, she was already dead. Her head had been smashed open on the ground like a roasted chestnut. Yeah, this is going back to the first Corpse Party game where we see this essential scene in the beginning of chapter 3, I believe? Who could have done such a thing, we thought. And like it or not, it seemed I'd now learned the answer. Mitsuki was inconsolable, understandably, but after some doing, I'd finally managed to drag her away from Urabe's remains. We'd just begun walking back toward the school entranceway when I got struck from behind and found myself careening toward the floor. So, in other words, this is going to be essentially Fukura's last hurrah. Also, kind of funny, he said bastard there, but it kind of sounded like he said, "Oh my head." Which is ironic, considering he just got struck in the head with a giant hammer thanks to Yoshikazu. I was losing focus, but could still make out the pool of blood spilling from my head, accompanied by a sound reminiscent of a leaky faucet. And unfortunately, I could also make out the vague form of a man standing over me, raising whatever he hit me with into the air for another strike. You're not gonna make him stop by asking him to stop. I instinctively shielded my head with my right arm and felt every nerve ending and every muscle in it twist unnaturally as the blunt object came down. And your head. Don't forget your head. You're not gonna make him stop, trust me. Mitsuki's tomboyish face looked uncharacteristically wrinkled and puffy, with tears streaming down both cheeks. Or maybe it was just my blurry vision. Ah! That's what it sounded like. It doesn't sound like you're saying words, it just sounds like you're gurgling and yelling and coughing up blood. Do you want to get hit with the hammer? I don't think you want to get hit with the hammer. Mitsuki's sobbing screams and frantic footsteps began receding into the distance. This made me feel a little better. At least she'd be safe, I thought. It took only moments for my vision to go completely dark, but then I had taken a hammer to the head. Still, considering what I'd just been through, I'd expected to be unconscious by now, but I wasn't. I could feel every part of my body clearly. I kind of wished I couldn't, considering, but I was pretty sure I could still move, at least for the moment, so I decided to do my part. I shall sacrifice what's left of me to make sure my friend doesn't die. Unfortunately, it will eventually be all for naught, but hey, at least he tried. With my uncrushed left arm, I reached out blindly, felt my attacker's leg as he began turning to pursue Mitsuki, and grabbed on tight. I got your foot! I got it! It's my foot! I'm not letting you have it! A noble effort, all in vain. Mitsuki was important to me. My face, not so much. Was I still alive? Wow, he actually survived a hammer to the head. Gotta give him credit for that, considering, you know, in the last game, when Fukuroi was attacked, he was just pounded constantly by the hammer. I couldn't even count the number of broken bones I'd suffered, and I could still feel every one of them. Wow, he's persistent. My head, my arms, my ribs, every part of me was throbbing with agony. No one part of my body hurt more than another. Every injury was unbearable. That voice sounds familiar. Someone was next to me, down on one knee, head right at my ear from the sound of it. A young man, probably around my age. Hint, hint. I got smashed in with a hammer multiple times. I'm not sure I should be happy that you're here, 'cause I'm fairly certain you could guess who that is. If you know Corpse Party, you could probably recognize that voice a mile away. I couldn't see a thing at this point, not even vague shapes, but the voice that addressed me sounded somehow familiar. I felt this was someone I could trust. Oh, doesn't matter because you're gonna die. Again, it just sounds like grunting and gurgling to me. So yeah, he knows her last name. He's around Fukuroi's age. And the voice sounds familiar. This is somebody Fukuroi should know. Likely someone from his class. Yeah, that doesn't sound ominous in the slightest. Even without seeing his face, I could tell he was sneering when he said this. Sneering at someone dying. Then, the next instant, I felt something hot bore into my abdomen. A knife, perhaps? A signature weapon of a certain someone that we see throughout the game that's kinda dangerous. No, it doesn't. Because he's got psychopathic or sociopathic tendencies. Not sure which. Yeah, someone who's like, we're all gonna die anyway, so why not just get it over with? No offense, but it almost kind of sounds like you're trying to burp the alphabet. And I don't think she can hear you say Mitsuki run anytime soon. Which way? Okay, so I guess now we are back in Mitsuki's shoes. Now, if I remember from the previous game, after Fukuroi's unfortunate run-in with Yoshikazu, Mitsuki we see later on in the covered walkway, running away, and then gets jumped by either Yuka or the other girl. Or, I mean, Yuki or the other girl. One of the ghost children attacks her. So, safe to assume the covered walkway is the way to go if you want to continue with the storyline proper. So, I'm just gonna go to the second floor. choice, I can tell. Unlikely. Hi, Yoshikazu. Good to see you again, buddy. How you doing? You still dead? I would assume so. His expression never once changed. He was like some kind of twisted life-size doll with one face, no doubt the face he would be wearing when he killed me, the last face I'd ever see. What a way to go. What could I do? What options did I have? Well, we could try something else. That's your option of trying something else, just screaming, "Don't let me go! I don't want to die!" Well, to be fair, what else could I have done? Stabbed him with a key? It does? It was the same sort of smell one might catch while walking past a ramen stand. Well, that name sounds familiar, Chihaya. The voice sounds familiar, too. One of Nana's friends. Probably the one that we saw with Morishige earlier. Nari, I think her name was? I have a feeling she can't hear you. Either she's already dead or she's just not in the room altogether. Also, what's with the horrible sound? It sounds like you're being electrocuted, but considering Mitsuki's comment about it smelling like food at a ramen stand, and her commenting that she's burning, I'm gonna assume that she got dumped with, like, hot oil or something. Well, what's happening to her? I'm going to guess hot oil was poured on top of her. That would explain the smell, that would explain her burning. That's just my thought. My mind had been in a rather hazy state, but this poor girl's terrified screams, as if someone were tearing her heart out, brought me back to reality. I realized that my hands and feet were bound to a chair, and I was facing another young girl who was similarly bound and writhing in pain. She was wearing a school uniform I didn't recognize, so she must have been brought here from some other junior or senior high school. Yep, Sachiko ever after charm. Were it not for the uniform and the voice, I might have had a tough time determining gender, as her face looked neither male nor female, young nor old. It was simply too burned to discern anything at all. From the top of her head down to her neck, and even halfway down her torso, she was thoroughly charred. She'd essentially been browned and virtually all her hair was singed off, not unlike a Peking duck hanging outside a Chinese restaurant. Her skin was thoroughly cracked, with bits of pink flesh oozing through here and there. And her eyes looked blank, cloudy and watery like the bottom of an order of sunny-side-up eggs, only her teeth remained relatively intact. Ugh. Gross. Didn't need to think of that, just saying. Can't breathe? I would assume so. It probably went to her lungs. Interesting last words, talking about her friend. Well, friends. I have no idea how much time passed after that. For a while, the only real sounds were her chair rattling as she shook and her murmurs of agony. Then, all that stopped and the girl fell silent. Considering where she'd been burned, I suspected her lungs must have given out in the end, though really, it could have been any of a number of things. My mind was a blank slate. I was beginning to lose my grip on reality and may have even laughed a little. I was in a home ec classroom, maybe? A science lab? And all around me were arms, legs, heads, and other body parts, all simmering in pots and pans. Fun. None of it seemed real. It was like I was watching some bad horror movie on TV, except there was an odor and heat, and both were really getting to me. I hope they never decide to make a ride like this in Universal Studios. I was getting nauseous, but not from the smell. It was instead from the thought that this aroma of human flesh boiling and frying was making me hungry. Don't resort to cannibalism, everybody! As I fought to hold back my fear and hunger-induced vomit, I suddenly sensed a pair of eyes coldly staring at me. I looked in the direction from which I'd felt this sensation and saw before me a little girl in a red dress just standing and watching. Hi, Sachiko! And again, Sachiko, you're making my puppy cry. Stop that. Hey, Jamie. It's okay. The scary ghost girl won't get you. The little girl lifted a frying pan from a nearby gas burner and brandished it in her right hand. A good thing she can't feel pain, or she might have burned herself. Little kids should not be playing with hot objects. Steam rose from the hot pan. I could see bubbling oil spattering all along its surface. Oh, so I did guess right. It is oil. Probably one that involves a lot of screaming, and there goes my phone. I could see the expression on her face clearly now, mischievous, hungry, and positively jubilant, without even a trace of sympathy or remorse. Oh, boy! Who's up for deep-fried turkey? That was a nice wrong end. Wasn't it a nice wrong end, everybody? I'm so glad we experienced that together. Oh, well. Maybe we would have had better luck with the alcohol lamp. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, light the lamp! With adrenaline's help, I managed to get the matchbox out of my bag, withdraw a match, and even unsuccessfully strike it a few times, all in an instant. I guess adrenaline really does help in that kind of sense. Although you would think you'd also use that to try and, get out of his grasp. Finally, I got a flame, but it wasn't fast enough. The expressionless giant's hammer struck me full force in my right knee. I would say probably a few other kind of words other than goddamn it, just saying. Although maybe I'd just be screaming in agony. I had nothing left to lose at this point, so I just threw the alcohol lamp haphazardly. It struck the expressionless man's raised hammer and shattered. A sizable amount of methanol spilled from the shards all over his face and chest, and there, thankfully, it burst right into flames. The man's entire torso was immediately engulfed. He doesn't sound like he's in much pain. He probably just finds this as a minor annoyance. He's probably like, that's it! Hammer time! I did it! Burn slowly, you bastard! Yeah, she's not wrong. I mean, he didn't murder the 3 kids, but he has murdered since being trapped here. He's already dead, so... His flaming hand grabbed my wrist. I could feel my skin instantly blistering, and then, mere moments later, my whole uniform went up. Well, it is fire. I would assume it would be hot, and that you would be burning. I guess not. Just your arm? He'll probably break your entire body. Nah, probably not. I don't think anybody can help you. And I'm fairly sure this place isn't up to code and there's not a fire extinguisher in any of the hallways. Just saying. Huh. I guess. I was wondering why I was seeing flashes of white instead of flashes of red now. Ah, who needs a nose anyway? Just to breathe? Come on. To smell? What? You don't need that. Well, to be fair, you're burning alive, so who needs a nose at this point? Hey, look on the bright side. You can't smell the smoke and your searing flesh if it's broken, right? That would make it less likely you're gonna vomit. Well, to be fair, perhaps the vomit could actually put out the fire. I mean, it would at least cool some of it down, right? Then again, it's not just like... This is methanol fire. Is that any bit different than other fire? I mean, it's not like an electrical fire where if you put water on it, it's gonna be worse, but... I am also amazed, though. All of these people are very descriptive about when they die. How do they have that amount of time in the seconds that they are, you know, being horribly killed to think of all these different examples of what the heck is going on to them? Oh, that's a nice thought. Yeah, he was on a singular mission. To recreate Gallagher with a human skull instead of a watermelon. Can somebody please explain to me why that is that Gallagher is, you know, considered funny? He's literally just wasting food. Oh well. Another wrong end. Tragic. Well, I guess we'll just have to continue on with the storyline and see where this extra ending actually goes as soon as I get to it. Okay, after that, let's advance the plot to the covered walkway. It's blocked off, so I don't know what that means. You shouldn't have done the Sachiko ever after charm and gotten everybody stuck in Heavenly Host. Just curious, which one of your friends was it that decided this was a good idea? Well, we haven't seen much of him, have we? There's also, you know, other members of your class in here. Sort of. I ran anywhere and everywhere looking for Kurosaki, screaming his name at the top of my lungs, but he was simply nowhere to be found. Kurosaki! Doko! Kurosaki! He might be dead too, for all I know. Well, actually, storyline-wise, I know he's not dead, but she doesn't know that. Why are we back in the art room? Odd place to be thinking of finding your friend. Not in here either. I had no idea when that horrible expressionless man would show up again with his giant hammer. Every little sound was making me cower in fear. What I needed was a weapon, something to defend myself with. There had to be something like that in here, right? Maybe, there's another scalpel somewhere? Let's see, nothing of interest there. That creep could come barging in any moment. You have to find a weapon. Come on. There's gotta be a scalpel or something. There's gotta be something in here. Come on. Think. None of interest here. Come on. Ooh. Nope. Can I just wander out and not find a weapon? No. Dang it, where could a weapon be? In here? No. Yeah, I know, I gotta find something. I'm looking. This is me looking. This is me looking for anything blue that I could work with. But thus far, not having much luck here. I have to find something. Sure there's not something over here? Come on! There's gotta be something. Weapon. Who's got a weapon? Aha! An oversized chisel. Sorry, I had a temporary stroke there. A short-range weapon, sadly, but hey, it might be something. I carefully took the chisel into my quaking hands. I wasn't sure if I'd actually be able to fend off an attacker with it, but it was certainly better than nothing. Thank you for, finding where to go for me. No. Good question. Maybe. To be fair, I don't think there was anything you could have done in that situation. To be fair, he told you to run. I don't know why you're getting all guilty over it, but he told you to run. He knew he was gonna die. Yes, he was a true hero. To be fair, you'd have to have some massive balls to not be scared of this place. I'll give you a hint, though. Most of the guys in here are scared, too. You have to have, no brain in order to, basically, not be scared. Uh-oh. I will stab him with this chisel. Hey, I recognize that voice. That was with Fukuroi, who murdered him at the very end. Oh dear. KIZAMI! We're all gonna die! Yay! Yeah! This isn't gonna go well. Tall and handsome, but always just a little on edge. He never changed one bit. Except he's got some psychopathic/sociopathic tendencies. This was Yuya KIZAMI, one of my classmates. And apparently in Blood Draw you find out that he was once an underwear model. If you know what happened earlier, you wouldn't be crying into his arms, just saying.
Yamamoto. 大丈夫。大丈夫だ。事情は大体わかってる。だって、二人とも殺されたんだよ。あの変な男に。ひどい。
Well, you're half right. They were both killed, but not all by the creepy-looking man.
ああ、知ってる。さっ
Yeah. Oh boy.
この彫刻刀はこれでそいつと戦おうなんて思ったのか
Well, it's not like I have any other choices. I'm fairly certain firearms wouldn't work in this place anyway. And I'm fairly certain nobody carries a katana in their pocket.
ただ殺されるよりはって。
バカだな、山本。こんなもの必要ないんだよ。
Yeah, because you're gonna die here and now. KIZAMI cupped my right hand between both of his, as if consoling me, and gently removed the chisel from my grip. Don't let him have it, he'll use it against you! He was so gentlemanly about it, his touch soft and caring. With a creepy-ass smile.
俺が今お前の恐怖すっきり終わらせてやるから。
Yeah, that's what I thought.
かわすか。動けるな、山本。
Yep.
何するの？冗談は？
You wish.
あんまり変わらないと思うけどね。
Nope.
俺が本気でも冗談でも山本が死ぬことにはさ。
Oh boy. What? What was going on? Why was he doing this? Because he likes to kill people.
なんで？何？やだよ、やめて。
さっきの話だけど、一個訂正ね。フクロイは殴られて死んだんじゃない。
Yeah, he got close though.
刺されて死んだんだよ。こんな感じでブスッと。逃げるのか？疲れるだろ。あまり無理するなよ。
He's got a point though. But to be fair, it's probably easier to run from him than it is the big brute. Actually, no, because the big brute Yoshikazu is slower. He's, you know, a young, spry, hunky guy, so...
笑って。いつまでも友達だって。それなのにわからない。わからないよ。信じない。もう誰も信じないぞ。
Because this place does things to you. Although, to be fair, fairly certain KIZAMI had this twisted behavior beforehand. Oh. Now I'm back with Morishige.
振り返ったらどうなるっていう。
Okay, well, what happens if I don't look back this time? Okay, it looks like it's basically the same thing
どうしたの？
with her freaking
黒
out.
井君は
But at least now we have some context of what the hell happened. That she's basically running away from KIZAMI, who's trying to kill
混
her.
乱してるみたいだ。
Because that's what KIZAMI
何
does.
があったんだ？山本さん。
And then she slaps me. Alright, let's see what happens if I skip a little forward. Aha! Okay, here we go. I ran as fast as I could. It was obvious to me now that even Morishige was out of his mind. There was no one left I could trust.
上だ。上へ逃げれば。
Oh, they got a new angle of him. I mean, yeah, he's cute, but... Without even a moment's hesitation, my classmate KIZAMI suddenly swung a giant chisel in my general direction, narrowly missing me. I would have preferred if he just farted in my general direction. At least then it would be less likely I would die. Just saying. And I accidentally went full screen there, and the recording got a little weird, sorry.
大丈夫か？
No, because you're trying to kill me. Yeah, you're not gonna make him stop.
逃げ惑うのもいいけど無理するなよ。体力は温存しておかないと。この辺でいいか。
No. No location is suitable.
大丈夫か？
No, you're trying to kill me. Why would I be okay with that?
やめてよ。
He'll stop once you're dead.
え？何をだ？
Stop trying to kill me?
ひどいことしないでよ。私、あんたに何もしてないじゃん。
All I ever did was crush on you.
そうだ。返さなきゃな、これ。
Well, that didn't take long. A sudden burning pain shot through my body, shaking my whole field of vision. The fat, dull blade of the chisel had been forcibly plunged deep into my thigh, all the way up to the handle. Ew.
感触がやはり違うんだな。男と女とでは。なるほど。
Well, yeah, I think... Depends on what you mean. Do you mean that she's taking the pain worse or better?
痛いよ。
Well, did you expect it to tickle? There wasn't much I could do to resist. Not only had he knocked me over, but he was kneeling on the backs of my hands, holding me in place quite effectively.
いいぞ。正直だ、その反応。嘘をつかない奴は好感が持てる。
Yeah.
本番といくか、こいつで。
What do you mean? KIZAMI had a twisted grin on his face. He slowly brought his right hand into view, and in it was a proper knife glinting in the dull light.
こんなこと。
山本。
Because he's crazy. That's the root of it.
お前の腹に行くぞ。
Lovely. I could feel KIZAMI reach up from under my skirt and press the cold blade of the knife against my abdomen. And then with one thrust the knife was completely inside my body. My thoughts became jumbled. The pain was so intense, it felt like my brain was on fire. It took me a moment to process the sensation of a foreign body lodged unnaturally within me. I could feel all the blood gushing out from the wound.
いいぜ、山本。その調子だ。いい声聞かせてくれよ。
Now, I'm definitely glad he didn't make it back from Heavenly Host. Because he definitely would have been a serial killer. Oh god, imagine if him and Morishige had gone back and they both teamed up. You know, KIZAMI would kill the victims, and then Morishige would be the one taking the pictures. I never felt anything even remotely like this before in my entire life. I couldn't even describe it if I wanted to. The pain receptors in my body were off the charts. I couldn't comprehend the things I was feeling. But despite my confusion and agony, I knew one thing for certain. If I couldn't stop this from happening right now, I was going to die. Every part of me was in agreement on that. My nerve endings were screaming it, and my brain could focus on little else. I might as well have been on fire. That was earlier. It couldn't hurt any more than what I was experiencing. No, it was too late for me. I could tell that the wounds inflicted were irreversible. Irreparable. I had to accept it. I was going to die. I'd begun vomiting blood, and it was beginning to lodge itself in my respiratory tract. Breathing was becoming harder and harder with each passing moment. My abdomen had been completely minced at this point, and the pain was so intense that I wished I could just leave my body altogether. My arms and legs were cold and numb, and my sense of reality was beginning to waver. My last breath couldn't be far behind. And yet, Yuya KIZAMI was smiling. It was a distant, relaxed smile, as if someone looking up at the stars or smelling a rose. It was the smile of a psychopath, the smile of a person about to end my life. For no particular reason.
ちょっと声が小さくなってきたんじゃないか。もっと聞かせてくれよ。
Well, what's the point? I'm gonna die anyway.
誰がなんかに
I guess she wants to die faster. I couldn't believe those words were coming out of my mouth. I could barely speak through all the blood I was spewing. But I was standing my ground. As I slowly die of much blood loss.
でもお前の思い通りに
てめ
Oh boy. Don't make him mad. For just a moment, Yuya KIZAMI's psychotic grin turned to a bitter, scornful frown. But then, as quickly as it had vanished, the smile returned.
え。なんだそりゃ。抵抗のつもりか。我慢なんてするなよ。おい。
Hey.
どうした？声が小さいぞ。ほら叫べよ。いてんだろ。会話しようぜ会話。
Don't give him what he wants.
なんか言うことあるんだろ。泣きたいだろ。命乞いしたいだろ。
At this point, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna die anyway. Just saying. Just saying. I was concentrating so hard on biting my lip and holding my mouth closed that I swear I'd forgotten how to breathe. Not like it matters at this point, I'm dying. I think I even broke my molars from the sheer force of my determination not to yield to Yuya KIZAMI's twisted desires, and I didn't even care. I'd have no use for my teeth ever again anyway. I wouldn't be eating anything where I was going. I wouldn't scream for him to stop, I wouldn't call for help, and I wouldn't beg for my life. My life was already over. All I had left was the knowledge that I'd go out quietly without giving this sick freak any measure of satisfaction.
俺の方を向けよ。無視するなよ。話せよ。言葉を。
He was beyond redemption. There was absolutely nothing I could say or do to help him. I could either waste away silently or feed his psychosis. I could never make him understand how I felt at that moment. I could never convey to him just what he'd done to me. Death was my best and only option.
Yamamoto-san. 君も死んだのか。
Oh, goody. This was definitely the body of Mitsuki Yamamoto. Her stomach and abdomen had been stabbed dozens upon dozens of times and were practically liquefied. They looked a bit like gazpacho. Her body was still warm to the touch, too, meaning her death must have only just occurred.
不思議なもんだな。ほんの数分前に話した人間がこうして死んでいるっていうのは。
If you call her screaming at you speaking, but yes.
だけど山本さん綺麗だ。とっても綺麗だ。さっきまでとは雲泥の差だ。
Oh boy.
君は今完全に自分の全てをさらけ出して無抵抗だ。いいよね 君を連れて行くよ。
Click, click. Yeah. I withdrew my phone, flipped it open, and switched over to camera mode, where I immediately set about framing her remains at just the right angle. I didn't mind if it was just her image on that tiny screen. To me, it was as good as having the real thing in my pocket. The appeal was identical. Also, I gotta love how he got a kind of a panty shot in that as well. Just saying. You know where his mind goes, especially when they're dead. It was as if I could freeze time on this moment and preserve her just the way she was.
やっぱりだ。俺自身の目で見て、触れ、匂いを嗅いで、こうして生の君を知ったから。生きていた時の君を見て、声を聞き、感情に触れていたから。
Oh god, he's squeeing! He's squeeing!
こんなに綺麗に通れた。もう君は俺だけのものだ。たまらない。君はひどいやつだな。
Oh boy.
俺をこんなに興奮させて、心をかき乱して。
Ew. Massive. Ew.
どこか落ち着ける場所へ行こう。そう。
Yeah, you need to collect yourself
さあそこに。
and probably find some tissues while you're at it.
そういえば、今日はマユにセビリアの理髪師の録画を頼まれていた。時間までに家へ。
Okay, I think now we're heading into old territory here. Yep, that's all the exact same with the creepy ass face. And the end of Shangri-La. Cool. Clear. And this time with that last ending done. I'd have to recheck and see if I have any more wrong endings I need to get. But again, I'll be doing most of my wrong endings in a video afterwards. But hey, we finished chapter 5, was it? Yeah, chapter 5. Next, we'll be heading into chapter 6. Meyer, which if I'm not mistaken, we will be playing as Yuka in that one, which is good because we have not seen much of Yuka at all throughout this. And she's actually my favorite character in the series. So, this should be an interesting scenario. But for now, this is StarPrincessHLC saying thank you very much for watching and have a fond farewell.